I'm just going to show you how I set up for cutting my rafter feet, so I'll get a nice straight line for my fascia. It tends to be more on truss roofs because although all the truss roofs are made to a jig, so technically it's supposed to be all the same, there's lots of variations in them. So like this truss roof, for instance, there's no way that I could just put this fascia straight on the end of these rafter feet. It's in and out all over the show. There's probably 5, 6, 7, 8 mil difference between them all. So I set a line up and then I can mark to that line, and then they'll all be dead straight to get a nice straight fascia line. So what I basically do here is I pick my measurement. In this case it's only 100 mil because it's a short soffit here, and because we're so close to the boundary. So I've set out my measurement, which is 105 mil from here to here, and I've done the same the other end. And then what I do is just put a nail in and pull my string along. Now you must make sure, or I make sure, that this nail, this string is not on the top of the roof line, because you don't want, if you get one of these trusses that's a bit high, it could end up pushing the line up. So you leave it up on the nail, and then that's a nice dead straight line down there. Then I get my sliding bevel, set it to that plumb cut line down there. I don't know if I can just, I'm doing this overhand, so it's a bit arse about face. Obviously normally you do this on a scaffold out here. Set your bevel to your plumb line and then just bring it down until it just touches that line. And then what you do is you go, I'll swap my hands, you then go all the way along each truss and do the same thing, mark those, and then when you cut them all, it'll all be dead straight. You get a lovely straight fascia line. Right, there's lots of little bits and bobs to do to finish a detail like this. The issue we've got here is that obviously there's nothing in between these trusses to take my last course of boarding, which goes about there, and so there's nothing to take that. So what I've done is I've cut a row of noggins, you may just be able to see here, and they're exactly the height between the plate and the top of the truss, and I'll nail those in, and then when that's in, that will give the top of this board something to rest to, but it also seals off the outside of the building where this exposed soffit lies. It seals off the outside of the building from the inside to stop insects and things getting in. Let's put this in here. Board goes on there now onto my gauge, it has something to finish to, and the next job is to cut this last course of feather edge and notch it round all these, which is going to be fun. So I've marked this last course on the back, and what I did is you can see that I put my square up, and this represents the truss that I need to cut out. While I was up there, I noted that the measurement between this last course and the bottom of here was 75 mil. So I know, although my gauge is 148, I'm going to call it 150 in this case. So that last board was 175. So this course needs to go up another 75 to make 150. So basically I need to cut out 75mm from here, and then that will slide up to the side of the truss and make my gauge right. So what I did was measure down 75mm to here, but then because this is our relative edge and sometimes these aren't parallel, these boards, this is the edge we work to, that's my 75mm mark. What I did is I set my square to my sliding square to this mark here, and then I've marked them all off this edge. Then it'll all be the same and the gauge will work. So I've got this cut course in here, and then we've just got a small section to put in here. So I've ripped that down, and all I'm going to do with this is, rather than nail it, because nailing's a bit heavy, I've just got some small wasted shank screws that I'm going to screw it to this noggin that I put in, and that closes off up to the soffit. Because it's been emotional. See, that's all that fascia fitted now. What I did that I didn't show you to make it easier for myself, if you can just see, I marked my square and marked an inch down from the top of the fascia. Now normally this would be 2 inches, which helps kick up the last course of tiles, and because it doesn't sit on top of a course below it of tiles, obviously. But what we're going to do is the roofer will put an inch batten on edge on here for us, just because we've already got this 4x1, but it's not quite 4 inches is not quite enough to get the guttering on, so we just raise it up by another inch. And I can just show you that I've try and lean over here. I've just mitered, it was mitered that fascia joint. I mean, this is obviously all sawn, it's supposed to look a little bit rough, but this bit obviously just needs, this bit just needs staining, and that's why I put this edge out and the black edge that's already been done in, because next I've got my soffit to go down the front and close all this in. So this is the board that I've cut, is my soffit board. It goes on top of the rafters, and therefore it's an exposed rafter and soffit. And so I've cut it to 150mm, and what I'm going to do now is just knock the back edge off with my planer so that it sits down nice behind the fascia. So now you can see this is the soffit that I've cut. It slides down the rafter, and then obviously here it butts up to the back of the fascia, fixes down to the rafter here, and I'll probably just put a small screw in to catch my noggin up as well. So as you can see, that's super neat all the way down there, and then obviously from underneath now it's all closed in. So I'll get on and fix those, and then that's this almost done.